We are now in section 2-3, and the title of this section is Other Types of Graphs. So get out your sticky notes, your index cards, whatever you're using for vocabulary, and to show yourself examples so that you know what types of graphs to draw during the homework and during the test, to familiarize yourself with them and their processes. We're going to break these down in this section starting here. In addition to the histogram, the frequency polygon, and the ogive, several other types of graphs are often used in statistics. They are the bar graph, Pareto chart, time series graph, pie graph, and the dot plot. So if you want to hit pause on the video right now and go ahead and get you some index cards started or an electronic document started for the bar graph, Pareto chart, time series graph, pie graph, and the dot plot. It says that this next example or figure is going to show an example of each. So over here, this would be a great place to do a quick little sketch of, if you stopped and made some index cards, this would be a great place, and we froze. That's not good. This would be a great place to draw a quick sketch of a bar graph, or describe it, or just kind of look at it for a second. Look at a Pareto. Compare, contrast. What are they doing that's the same, that's different? Time series. Wow, that kind of looks like something else we've seen, but it's not. And then a pie graph. And down at the bottom, a dot plot. Here we go. Let's first talk about bar graphs. When the data are qualitative or categorical. So qualitative. I'm going to run back to page 6. And when I run back to page 6, qualitative variables are variables that have distinct categories. I always just think of buckets. And it mentions here like male, female, but then it also mentions down here, or categorical, and it mentions nominal or ordinal. And so when I look here at nominal, it gives us different things like zip code. Like we all have a zip code, and that's going to put us in buckets. Also ordinal level, nominal and ordinal, like a grade. Like in this class, someone ends up with an A on the test. They go in the A bucket. So getting your brain wrapped around that a bar graph is basically going to chart buckets. And it can be used to represent the data. A bar graph can be drawn using either horizontal or vertical, and then here's the official definition. A bar graph represents the data by using vertical or horizontal bars. That's a nice little coincidence. Whose heights or lengths represent the frequencies of the data. And so you might be thinking, wow, this looks a whole lot like a histogram, but it represented the frequencies of the classes. So again, comparing and contrasting what you've seen before. And so right here, I've even written in for us to look at similarities and differences. And so when we're looking at these two, it said we can use horizontal or vertical. It said that we can use, whatever we're doing that's going to be a comparison of whatever's going on. But this specific example started out by saying average money spent by first-year college students, and it lists some items. These don't have to be in order. You can put them however you want to. They just happen to be going from greatest down to least. But that does not matter, and that's going to be really important when you start talking about a Pareto chart. So it says these graphs of first-year college, what the money there is they spend on electronic equipment. The most expensive is what they spend on electronic equipment, and it's something where you can see it very quickly. Again, whenever you're asked to create charts, you can do them simply by hand, sort of, but then really when you get into like some Excel spreadsheets or things along those lines, you can really generate some really quick, interesting visuals, and it's whatever you're trying to say or illustrate, that's the kind of graph you're going to choose. But at the end of this section, we're going to talk about misleading. So you don't pick your graph to be misleading, you pick it to represent the data well. So make sure you know how to draw a bar chart. Notice there is space in between, because it's just like right here, the shoes. The shoes go up to almost 100. Well, the shoes are actually 72. So think about what you like about a bar graph and what you don't like. It's not very accurate, because I couldn't have told you that was $74 or $72, but it does give a quick visual. Bar graphs can also be used to compare data of two or more groups. These types of graphs are called compound. That's like when you have a compound fracture, like in your arm, then it's going to be compound because it's two or more breaks. The comparison, down here at the bottom, is made by placing the bars next to each other for the specific years, and that's what we're about to look at here in this information. The height of the bars can then be compared. So the part you might want to add to your index card or the information that you are saving wherever you're saving it to learn is that a quick example of something like this, whereby each year you can make a comparison of two items side by side, and when you notice the colors, then you can make some really quick observations about what is going on, hence the reason for a bar chart or a bar graph, so that you can see something fairly quickly. In this video, we're also going to talk about Pareto charts. So this might be a good place to pause, make sure that you already have your index card or whatever you're going to write this on, but go ahead and mark and make a distinction of a thing called a Pareto chart. Well, it's going to have horizontal, it's qualitative, it's categorical. Man, this sounds really familiar, like a bar graph. But Pareto chart can also be used to represent this data. A Pareto chart is used to represent frequency. Gosh, this still sounds like a bar graph. Categorical still sounds like a bar graph. Frequencies are displayed, oh my gosh, which are arranged. So it says vertical. Didn't let us talk about horizontal. But we must put them in order from highest to lowest. We can't just do whatever we want to with data. We have to go highest to lowest. And so it talks about how would you create one. So they gave us some data. And in this data, it's on traffic congestion. And it says the way to get this going is arrange it from largest to smallest, since we have to do a Pareto, highest to lowest. Well, we can arrange it, and then notice a couple of things happening on this graph. It's jammed together. And with it jammed together, it is going highest to lowest, but it's still doing the same thing that we were doing on the bar graph. We're labeling information. We're looking at the frequency, the money, the whatever's happening over here. It's still not very accurate, but it does give us a quick picture that Washington was in the lead of whatever's going on, and Atlanta is the smallest amount, so traffic congestion. So it's still something where we can look at it very quick visually and make some decisions, comments, not opinions, but we can really write some information about what we see is going on. Suggestions for drawing: make the bars the same width. Okay, that makes sense right up here. They're all the same width. Arrange the data from largest to smallest. That makes sense. That's going to help my brain remember what a Pareto is versus a bar chart, bar graph. Make the units that are used for the frequency equal in size. So over here on the side, make all of these equal. And again, at the end, we'll be talking about misleading graphs. So I'm going to pause the video. Actually, I'm going to stop this video. Yeah, I'm going to stop this one, and then we'll pick up the next video with the time series graph. So in this video, we talked about bar charts and Pareto charts.